Hello students and welcome back to Mechanical Engineering Practice and Graphics. This week we're going to cover the chapter 15 of the book, Working with Drawing Views, the second part. According to our schedule, this week, week 13, we only have the homework number 10. However, there are some important activities in the following weeks. Next week we're going to have the final project presentation. It's going to be on November 23rd. And 2 weeks from now, we're going to have the lab's final exam, and also that will be the deadline for your full package submission of the final project in Blackboard. Regarding the final exam, it will be proctored. Again, we're going to meet in WebEx. Here is the link for our meeting. It is going to be on December 2nd. Section 2 is going to meet at 12:30 p.m. and Section 3 at 5:30 p.m. And you will have 2 hours and 30 minutes to submit your files to Blackboard. Please, test your webcam and cell phone before the exam and also your SolidWorks license. It's probably that during the exam maybe your computer is going to crash or your internet connection is going to crash. So please have your system ready for that important date, and also schedule this in your calendar. And regarding the next week final project presentations, each group is going to present their slides. We're going to have also a live session. We will meet on November 23rd. I guess that's next Monday. Yes. And Section 2 is going to meet at the normal hour of 12:30 p.m. and Section 3 at 5:30 p.m. Since there are some groups that has students in both sections, you're free to pick which section suits you better. Of course, the members that are available during the section are the ones that are going to present their poster or their slides. Regarding the final project presentations, these are the points that you should include in your presentation. An abstract where you explain what you are modeling, why are you modeling this kind of vehicle, what was your inspiration. It would be good to show the first hand quick sketch that you did of this model and compare that with the SolidWorks final render assembly, the final product, to highlight the evolution of the project. Also, please show us the problems that you faced during the project. Either this was your first time working in a group of engineers doing this kind of projects, or maybe some of the parts needed some modifications, some redimensioning in order for the assembly to fit everything together. Finally, end up with a conclusion. What would you do different, or what would you modify in next design projects that you might have during your career? Expect some questions. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to do some questions on, also maybe other students might have questions. Not only regarding the project, but maybe in the detail. Maybe I can choose one single part and ask you, how did you model a specific part? So be ready to answer these kind of questions. Remember that these presentations are 50% of the grade. By the final due date, which is going to be in 2 weeks, you will have to submit all the parts, all the assembly files, and some blueprints of the assemblies with the technical views, and also with a list of materials. We're going to learn how to do this today. And also remember that you have a written report of the 25%. Pretty much it's the same that you are going to do here in your presentation. Since it's usual that some students just stop replying emails and or phone calls, or maybe uh, they don't submit their parts on time. What we have implemented for this reason is this internal grading rubric. Basically, you're gonna grade your peers or the members of your final project. This is gonna be secret. I am the only one who is gonna uh, see these grades. So I'm going to provide this grading sheet to you in Blackboard. Just download it, fill your name, the name uh, of the members of your group, and provide a grade for them. Um, for example, here I have my name with member one, member two. Maybe member two wasn't submitting his parts on time or did a very poor job on modeling his parts. So maybe he doesn't deserve the same grade as member one, for example. So I will leave up this to you, and of course I'm gonna verify this, and I'm going to consider this in the final grades for the final project. Please submit that along with the file that I'm going to request for homework 10. And regarding the homework 10, we're gonna do the blueprint of an assembly. This time we're going to reuse the device assembly that we did a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to provide all the files to you. You just have to do the blueprint. And this time, please only submit the PDF of the blueprint. It's not necessary for you to put everything together in a folder and compress the folder and submit the compressed folder. You already learned that part. This time I'm going just to check the blueprint. So a PDF file should be fine. Remember that the deadline is this Sunday at midnight. And please use the name convention that we have been using throughout the semester. So this is the assembly that we're gonna do. In this assembly we have a top view, this is the blueprint of the assembly. So in this blueprint we have the top view of the assembly, and then we have a section view of that assembly. But also we have what is called a view in explosion. As you see, each part can be or it's clearly identified by one balloon with a number. These are the identifiers for each part, and then here on the top we have also a list of parts with the amount of parts that are needed for this assembly. So I'm going to do this homework with you. For you to do the homework, you just have to follow the steps in this tutorial, and I think that should be fine. Okay, so here I have two folders, the provided parts that I'm going to give to you and in class lesson. These are the same files. So I'm going to open the assembly. It is updating, and since all the parts are in the same folder, it can find all the parts. Now, here is a trick that I need to teach to you. And since we have a view in explosion and then just a simple assembly, in previous version of SolidWorks, it was something you had to do. I don't know if they have fixed this bug or not, but let's just do it anyway. So we have to basically save this same file with a different name. So I'm going to call that assembly tutorials 2, number 2. And then this is the one that I'm going to modify. I have to click here in the assembly module. I have to click in exploded view. And then I can start selecting parts to do the explosion. So for example, the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this component, the oval filter, I'm going to move it up maybe 50 millimeters here. And then I'm going to click here in done. After that, I'm going to move all of these components. I can select several at the same time. And then I'm gonna use the X arrow axis to move them here. I'm gonna write here 125 millimeters. Then I click done. And then I'm gonna move this bar and this globe in the positive Y direction. I guess 60 millimeters is okay. Then I click here in done. And then I can move this component also up a little bit. Maybe 25 millimeters should be fine. And I click done. Now I'm gonna select this component, this golden component in the bottom. I'm gonna press Ctrl 7 in my keyboard, and I'm going to move that in the negative Y direction, maybe 70 millimeters, and then click here in done. And then I'm going to select these two bases here, Ctrl 7 once again, and move them in the negative direction as well, 120 millimeters. Done. And then I'm gonna select all of these screws. I'm gonna move them maybe the same amount, Ctrl 7. $200 millimeters. And then I'm gonna click here in done. As you see, we can clearly see each component by separate. Then I can click here in OK. And finally I'm gonna save this, Ctrl S, or just click the save icon. And then I'm going to create a new drawing. For this drawing I'm gonna use a A2 size for the sheet, and a standard size A2. Click OK. And then I can import this view in explosion, maybe around here. I can even move it. Here in the bottom, maybe I should use a bigger scale. Yep, that should work. And in order to avoid any progress, I'm going to save this, save as. I'm gonna use a lecture 2, ABC123, in my case is LJK354, and then homework 10. And I'm going to keep the SolidWorks drawing because that's the file that I can modify. This is just for me to have a file in case my SolidWorks crashes. I don't lose everything. So I can just restart this file and continue from here. Okay, now that we have this view in explosion, I can go to annotation and click here in balloon. This is going to add those balloons that we have in our model. So I can select this and then put the first globe maybe around here. As you see, it is not important the order at which I select each component, it, because each part has already have a number assigned, so I can just select in any random number. Uh, it's good to try to avoid any cross in these auxiliary lines, so I can just either move this one here or maybe down here, but always the shortest path or the shortest side is preferred. Then this one here, and this one here, and then these components on the right side. Okay, and those are all the parts that we have in our assembly. So I can just click here in OK. And then we go here in the annotation module, we go to tables on the top right part and click in bill of materials. Then we have to select one view, so I can select the only view that I have. And here we have a bunch of controls on what we can do on that list of materials. I'm just gonna click OK. And then I can move this list anywhere in the model. I'm gonna place it here in the top right. And as you see here we have the number of the item, the part number or part name. We can actually modify this and change it to part name. Then we have description. We can change description maybe to material, if we have an specified material for each part, and then the quantity of these parts that we're going to use in this assembly. Alright, now we have to include the top view and the section view here. And that's where the trick is going to be useful. Here we have to click in model view, but this time we're going to select a different model. We're going to select the first assembly tutorial, the one that is not in explosion. As you remember, I have two assembly files, one in explosion and one without the explosion view. So I'm going to select the one without the explosion. I'm going to select the top view, but as you see, it's too large. So I have to go down here and select a different scale. So I'm going to use 2/3. I'm going to place it here. And then I'm going to click OK. Maybe that's too high, maybe I can just move it a little bit down. And then I'm going to add a section view. For that section view, I'm going to use the horizontal cutting plane, or cutting line, sorry. And that line is going to come through the center of this circle. I'm going to click OK. And then I can place this section view around here. And that's it. We have our section view and our top view. Now these are just information, additional information on how is the internal assembly of this component, the screw bar within the vise, and how those screws and the philister fit inside. last but not least, I can also modify. Sorry, I have to click outside that view. Right click and then edit sheet format. And again, I can maybe name this assembly. Oops. Assembly. Or not assembly. Vice assembly. Then the drawing, you can put your ABC123. In the date, let's put together 11/16/2020 or just the 20. And in approve, I can put my TA's ABC123, LJK354, and the deadline, which is gonna be next Sunday. Next Sunday is 22. And that's it. I can click here in exit the edit mode, and we have our blueprint done. Now you can do the same for your final project. At the end, we are requesting you to do this exact blueprint for your project, a view in explosion with a list of materials. But in your case, you're gonna have between 15 between 20 and 30 parts at least. Okay. So I'm gonna save this file. This is just the drawing file, but then to create the PDF, I click in Save As. And here this time I select Adobe Portable Document Format. That's the PDF. I can use the same name because it is changing only the file extension. And then click Save. This is the PDF that I get. And that's what you send to the manufacturer or to the person that is going to assemble this component. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. Please remember to submit also the grading sheet along with this PDF. And the next Monday we're gonna have the final project presentations, and that in 2 weeks we have the final exam. The important dates are December 2nd for the final exam and November 23rd for the final project presentations. This is going to be the last video tutorial that I submit in this semester. I hope you have learned a bunch of useful things. SolidWorks is a very used software. Also, I would like to remind you that there is a certification exam which is called the CSWA, SolidWorks Associate Certified. I guess that's the acronym. I encourage you to take that exam. The certificate lasts for, I guess, 2 years because there are always new versions of the software. But still, if you have that certified in your CV, that's something good for you. Hope you have enjoyed the course. I really tried to do a good job despite the COVID situation and all this remote learning way that the university has implemented. But anyways, if you have any questions, just let me know, send me an email. I am always open to suggestions and to improvement as well. Also, if you would like to know more about my research and the lab that I'm working on, I am also willing to discuss that with you. Thank you very much and see you next week.